Architects and doctors in Singapore say improvements in living conditions planned for foreign worker dorms are a step in the right direction, but more could be done. They'd like living spaces increased even more. And there are also calls to make shared facilities even safer during a pandemic. Deborah Wong explains.
The layouts of new worker dormitories will look vastly different under new safety guidelines. Previously, there was no limit on the number of beds in a room, which typically has bunk beds for 12 to 16 workers. This will now be kept at 10 single-deck beds, with 1 meter spacing between them. Instead of 1 bathroom to 15 beds, there'll now be at least 1 for every 5. And while there's only 1 sick bay bed per 1,000 bed spaces now, this will go up to 15. Under current conditions, a resident has a living space of 4 square meters, including shared facilities. The change will bring this up to 6 square meters, excluding the facilities.
What we're seeing in the new guidelines is more personal space and a reduced density in each room. But how far does this help in pandemic control?
You have to reduce the number of people per room because the cross-infection is increased a lot when you have more people in a room. You should reduce it down to at most 4. Also, if the toilets are within the room, you will have much more decentralized toiletry, right? And that will reduce the cross-infection.
The same public health measures that all of us live with need to be built or baked into the new infrastructure so that it's easy to do the right thing. We do need to almost segment the large dormitories into functionally smaller areas so that instead of having an outbreak that affects 25,000 workers, we can much more quickly identify and effectively lock down a smaller area.
The firm behind the design of Yishun Community and Mount Alvernia hospitals says this segregation could give each floor its own shared space and is effective in pandemic control. Buildings must also have proper cross-ventilation and a staging area or an open flexible space.
That can be used for recreational facilities in times of non-pandemic. But when it's pandemic time, that staging area can be taken over and have your triage control, your tent, your swabbing and all these kind of things have to be factored into the development of dorms. Then I think we'll meet very well the requirements of a pandemic.
Mr. Chan added that this requirement could also be formalized in designs of new hospitals.